welcome. Today we're going to be talking about the future of agentic commerce. So we have a lot of trends prepared, some statistics on what's happening in the market, the implications for retailers, what this means for you today, because it's not just something that will be coming, but this is already here and retailers need to start leveraging this trend. So thank you for coming and joining us today. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat at any time and we will maybe try to weave them in real time. My name is Paige. I'm the co-founder of Prefixbox, an AI product search and discovery solution that encompasses both AI agents and AI search. And today we have a guest, which is Sana. Do you want to do a quick introduction of yourself and Conscia?
Sure. Thank you for having me join you, Paige. Sana Remicki, I'm the CEO and co-founder of Conscia. We're essentially an orchestration layer that enables brands to become agent ready. And we'll talk about what that means in a bit.
Okay, so we can go ahead and get started. We saw there's quite a few people here already. So the session is recorded and we'll share it with everyone after, but let's just go ahead and jump in. And we prepared some statistics for you. I think at this point, everyone knows that online shopping is changing and that conversational commerce is here. This future is agentic, but just to show you how much of an impact this is making, 67% of shoppers are already familiar with AI shopping tools and 41% are using natural language when they're looking for products. So this is changing the way people interact with product discovery online. And it's going to lead into bigger trends at large that Sana will also touch on a little bit later. So it's not just about conversation, it's about conversational commerce. 93% of shoppers consider conversational capabilities important. So what does this mean? What do you guys see that's happening in the market, Sana?
So, you know what, before we even see what's happening in the market, I think if we look at just the way you and I are shopping these days, people like us, ourselves, just looking at what we want to see from the websites, I think we're all getting trained by ChatGPT very, very quickly. Just like in the past, we were getting trained by Google, right? So when you come to somebody's website, you expect the same level of conversation, the same level of personalization that ChatGPT is now offering. So there's this, this kind of a reflex to look for search, like a search bar or a conversational bar in the same sort of way that we're used to in ChatGPT. I mean, I can tell you for myself, I will go on a website and I'm looking for, I don't know, a dress for a party that I'm going to. And I will start to actually describe what I'm looking for in natural language, and then not remembering, hey, this is not ChatGPT, this is just regular search. And then I'm disappointed. And then I go back to ChatGPT and then ask the same question: what kind of brands would provide me with this type of a product, right? So I think there's now a disconnect between traditional search and a lot of brands are still offering that traditional keyword-based search. And whereas the customers are starting to really expect a more conversational experience.
Yeah, I think that's exactly correct. And what you mentioned with ChatGPT and Google training us, Google for so many years trained people to distill your whole thought and concept into 3 or 4 key keywords. So what is the whole thing you're trying to convey, and distill it into the most simple thing as possible. So that's how people were searching. But ChatGPT is almost the complete opposite when you think about how specific you need to be, because ChatGPT is a guided conversation. You can put in a thought, you can put in a nebulous question, it can clarify with you. It's more of having a conversation, and that's where the whole generation of conversational commerce is very straightforward came from, because it's not about distilling the specific thought. And that's what's happening now is if you put in these longer queries or something that's not specific, like this example here is a dress for a Spanish wedding. If you search for that, the old search engines are going to look for dress, Spanish, wedding, for example, and they might return like an actual wedding dress. And if you're the guest, you shouldn't be wearing the wedding dress. And exactly what you mentioned is happening to a lot of people. If you don't find what you're looking for, you're going to go somewhere else. You might try 1, 2, 3 more times, but you're not going to keep, what should I try? This, and now this, and now this. You're going to go to the competitor. So the implication here is that if retailers aren't delivering this experience, they are going to lose clients. They're going to lose revenue.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the customer is becoming more and more impatient, right? Especially the Gen Zs who are just used to getting what they want immediately. They want you to meet them where they are rather than, follow your instructions and how to look for what, what they want, right? So we're going to have to, brands, everybody, not just retail brands, but everyone in general are going to have to change the way they offer experiences on their websites, on mobile. It's not actually just website and mobile anymore. There's going to be players like Apple and Google and smart devices and smart homes that, I think a lot of people are already starting to get used to asking Amazon Alexa, can you look for this particular, or set me an appointment, for instance, at a branch near me, right? So similar to that, they may ask, can you find me a dress that is bright colored for a summer wedding, right? So that's coming. It's not fully operational yet, but that is the expectation that is being created. And a lot of the larger players are starting to think about this already.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear that conversational commerce is here. This is not the buzzword, or the new news. Everyone knows that conversational commerce is the next big thing. All of the retailers need to get ready to support these experiences, because it's not just that ChatGPT is impacting how people are shopping, but it's also these trends that have been coming up for a long time about personalization. How do you actually truly provide a personalized experience? People are, what you said, impatient. They want a quick shopping experience. They're not going to look through 2, 3, 4 pages of results. If it's not in the top 10, boom, probably they're not going to keep searching. They're going to go somewhere else. The saying that the best place to hide a dead body is the second page of Google. It's like the same for e-commerce, because unless you're really bored, you're probably not going to be scrolling through all of these pages, and you don't want to apply so many filters. So this is almost the convergence of so many trends that we've seen in the past. And now conversational commerce is basically the way to meet them and deliver an experience that people are expecting.
Yeah, and another, I think, aspect to look at in what you're saying, just to kind of follow on with the point around the second page of Google, if customers are going to go to ChatGPT and search for a product that you offer, you're now showing up alongside your competitors, right?
Yeah.
And what does that mean? So, a ChatGPT comes back with 3 or 4 suggestions, maybe 6 or 7 suggestions. Are you going to show up in the first 6 or 7 suggestions? And if you do, that's great. But the customer now wants to go further and find out more about your brand. So they're probably going to end up on your website from ChatGPT. And when they come to from ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatnot to your brand, what kind of experience at that point are you giving to them? Are you providing them the kind of experience that builds loyalty, right? Or are you going to detract them from or completely disappoint them?
Yeah.
And they're going to go back and go to one of the competitors to see if they have a better experience. So experience is now the currency that everybody needs to worry about. Otherwise, you're just another line item on ChatGPT.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And that opens up a whole other question that we didn't plan to talk about, but it's like, how do you get on ChatGPT? And how do you get your products listed there? Because if you're not even in the game, if you're not listed in ChatGPT, Perplexity, or where these people are now starting to do product discovery, because these engines, these generative engines, are linking product tiles. So you can actually click the product and go to the website. And if you're not even there, you're not even in the game. So retailers also need to be focusing on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's kind of tricky about all of this right now is that it's a moving target. ChatGPT has not fully been explicit about exactly what you need to do right this second to show up on ChatGPT. I know that there are there's a lot of research being done on exactly what that means. One of them is, one of the findings is that if your product data is structured, then it's a lot easier for ChatGPT and other agents to index that data. So the structure of data is and very descriptive details around your product. That's very important. And ChatGPT also seems to prioritize FAQ type of
where it's more conversational, so it can just almost directly pull or summarize the answers.
Yeah. What kind of dress should I wear at, should you wear at a wedding, for example, is a question. And if you have an answer to that in a conversational manner, then an agent is more likely to index that and show that as an answer. Then there's authority in a subject, right? Which is quite important. But in a product sense, that authority will depend on the loyalty, the brand loyalty that's already been built by the brand.
Exactly.
So new brands will have a harder time in showing up. However, if you look at what Shopify is doing now, right? So there's a lot of small to medium-sized players that use Shopify for as their e-commerce platform. And Shopify has now rolled out by default an MCP server that is available for all of their customers by default. Now, ChatGPT is working on an integration that is going to allow those brands to show up. Still in the early stages, there's still a lot coming. As I said, it's a moving target. But what that indicates is that there is work for brands to do in their ability to, show up in the agentic experience. It's not going to be just by default. It's not going to be just a website, so the website gets
show my product,
right? It should just show up. I already have 1 million customers, so ChatGPT should know that and put my my products at the very top. That's just not the way it's going to be, right? And I think companies are going to have to work on building up to that.
I think it's a lot of work that brands need to be doing now in a lot of different areas, but it's non-negotiable work, because if you don't put in the time to do all of this now, it's almost like the gap is just going to widen. And if you're not keeping up with the pace of change and what the competition is doing, at some point in 1.5, 2 years, it's just going to be so big that to cross that chasm is going to be even more work. So this is something that, not like, oh, it's coming, so see what happens and decide how you're going to approach it and what you'll do later. Like, this is a today activity that needs to be happening.
Absolutely. So I completely agree. I think that there's 2 types of experiences that the brands have to think about, right? One is when somebody searches and a third-party agent for products that they offer, what does that experience look like to their customers? And then second, if they do end up landing, hopefully, on their website, what does that experience look like, right? So like you have here, some of the common questions that customers are going to ask either on ChatGPT or when they come to your brand website, the answers have to not just be there, they have to be consistent as well. They have to be accurate, right? So you need to expose those answers in a way that makes sense on a third-party platform like ChatGPT, but also have those so those same answers available when you are when they're on your website as well.
You basically need the ChatGPT experience on your site as well. So you need to surface your products there as a third-party avenue, but also mimic or have the same similar experience, and not just for, I think now, or in the past, not now, maybe it's changing. Everyone was thinking about agents and chatbots for support scenarios only. And they were very like a dummy agent that you could make a decision tree. If they ask this, say this, and whatever. It's not so interactive. But these agents are not just for support, but they're also for product discovery scenarios, like we were mentioning the dress for the wedding. It's like you're talking to the offline shop assistant, and they can guide you through it. So it's like a guided shopping experience.
Absolutely. I'm the laziest person when it comes to shopping myself. When I go into a brick and mortar store, even, I don't want to walk through the aisles and try to find
Yeah.
something myself. I go straight to the person, like an agent that
Yeah.
is working at the store, and I'll say, "Where can I find this?" And they'll direct me exactly to the aisle that I should go to, because I don't like wasting time. I don't like
Yeah. Just
browsing.
like a beeline. Okay. There.
Yeah.
Okay. Out.
Just go there. So I think in a very similar, that's the analogy really that we're looking
Yeah.
at. It's the endless aisle, which is the like the search results is like an endless aisle, right? That
Mhm.
nobody wants to walk through. It's just too
No.
much work and it's annoying to
Yeah.
have to do that. And ChatGPT is like that customer service agent that is standing in the store that you talk to get to exactly what you want immediately. And I think that's just talks to our impatience as a society. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, that is what brands have to respond to
And it's not going to
at this
change.
point.
People are not going to
It's not
become
going to
more
change.
patient. So it's probably just
No,
going to become like more instant society and
totally.
expectations. So that kind of brings
Absolutely.
in this next trend, which is personalization, because then how do you direct someone specifically to a product? You have to deliver a personalized experience. You have to know, I mean, something at least demographic about them or what they've looked at before, or bring in the loyalty element. You can even bring in the brick and mortar, like if you have a loyalty card or a number, what are they
Yeah.
buying offline and reflect that online. And we've talked about personalization in e-commerce for ever, I
Yeah.
think, but this is taking it to a completely different level.
You know, this has become one of the most interesting arguments out there about agentic commerce and what the role is for each of the players, such as Amazon, for instance, or Shopify, or ChatGPT, or Apple. So, who owns the customer relationship, right? So,
Mhm,
for a long time, we've been talking about customer data, right? And brands want to own that one-to-one relationship with the customer, and they do that by measuring their activity on their website, by getting third-party analytics and
mhm,
insights on their customers. And so a lot of work brands have done here to try to hold on to that relationship and give something of value back to the
mhm,
customer based on the data that they've been collecting. Now, the fear of the brands here is that if ChatGPT becomes the primary interface to purchasing, do they lose that relationship
mhm.
altogether? Right? Is
Yeah.
it that now ChatGPT is going to own all that customer data? Is it Amazon? All the walled
Mhm,
gardens, Walmart's doing a lot of work in building these agents that are highly customized and provide a highly personalized experience. So the fear is that will we just become a number or just one
mhm.
of the results in um, on the ChatGPT response, right? And that
Yeah.
is absolutely not what you want, of course.
Of course.
And I think
Yeah.
we're still a little bit far away from that because, initially, ChatGPT is asking for brands to provide things like a product feed that is
Mhm,
eventually going to uh, serve those or used to it's going to be used to serve those results on ChatGPT. But what about when it comes to completing the payment,
right.
right? What about loyalty? What
Mhm,
about offers that the brands have for these customers? They're not going to get those immediately on ChatGPT.
right.
They have to go to the website still or the mobile app to
Mhm,
complete the payment, complete the purchase. Unless, of course, if you are 100% on Shopify, there is the one, what's coming up now apparently is the integration between
yeah.
OpenAI and Shopify that would allow for a one click purchase, but not every, well, I would say 90% of the brands are not 100% on Shopify. They have a
Yeah.
combination of technologies in their back end, right? They have maybe Stripe for payment or PayPal,
Mhm,
or there's MasterCard involved. There is tax, tax services that play into this.
Exactly.
Maybe, all kinds of other backend systems that need to be exposed in some way to complete that purchase successfully.
Hmm.
So I don't think brands need to worry that ChatGPT is completely taking over. There may
Yeah.
be the product discovery and the initial journey that may begin in ChatGPT, but where they are going to still end up is their own website or the mobile app or whatnot. And what the focus should be right now is in making those experiences, the on site experiences, uh, relevant and
Hmm.
personalized. And you still have the ability to really own the customer experience
Yeah.
and and the customer relationship.
Hmm.
So that data that you've been collecting on the customer still is very viable. You just now have more information from the context around what were they searching for to get to you.
Yeah, it's
Um,
almost like a new discovery channel or new marketing channel. Like before you wanted to do the SEO
exactly.
optimization so you'd rank on Google. This is just another avenue. And I see, Bilal, you wrote in the chat about in a blog, I think you wrote this when we were talking about the FAQs. The more conversational content you have, whether it's product descriptions or in blogs or on your website, all of that is going to help. But also the product descriptions need to be conversational, because this is what you were saying when the like ChatGPT can pull the more conversational your description is, because they can just kind of summarize and regurgitate it. And so this is
Yes.
one way that you would rank higher or have a better chance of coming out in the top selected results on ChatGPT. So pretty much the more content you can make in an FAQ or sentence style, or address it in a way that would be an answer to a question that someone would ask, the higher
Yes.
chance you have to be discovered on ChatGPT. And I think you also touched on here, while we know that conversational commerce is here, there's still a lot of questions like who's going to own the data. Another one about the experience on your site is, what is the UI going to look like, and what is the best experience to deliver this chat-like experience? Because now everyone's got their search result page and then a little circle in the bottom right corner for your chatbot or your agent. And that's, you're welcome. I see it just said, so I guess we answered the right question. But that is just how it is now. I think that kind of evolved from the past where we had the chatbots, and that became standardized to put the chatbot button in the corner. But to think about what's happening in the future and how do you blend the search and chat experience and the support experience, where you could have something like we have here, where it's a chat interface, and it kind of blends in the product detail page as well, because you don't want shoppers to go here and then have to go here. You really want a streamlined experience. So this is not exactly like what you would see on ChatGPT, but it kind of blends the product discovery experience.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think even in ChatGPT now, if you look at the product cards that are now, or carousels that are starting to show up, that
They're much
talks to
more
the
rich
fact
now.
they're more rich, more visual. And I think that talks to the fact that we still are not okay with just having a textual conversation. We do want to see something. Humans are visual
Yeah.
at the end of the day. So they want to ask questions, but they want to see visual results as well. So I think there's going to be a transition in what this looks like over time. Like, it started with just text at the beginning.
Mhm.
Then it started to involve, product cards and carousels and video. Now I believe YouTube
Yeah.
videos are starting to show up inside, right? There's imagery and lots of visual effects that are going to start to play into even the ChatGPT interface, and then to carry that over into the brand experience as well. I think we need to stay consistent with where the trend is
Yeah.
going. So yes, we do definitely need a conversational experience, but we do, as you said, Paige, we need to uh, continue a little bit of that visual results listing blended into that
Mhm.
overall experience as well. It's just easier for humans to look at a list of options
Yeah.
provided in a visual way and then say, hey, I like the second one, or I like the third one. They may not want to say, exactly what it is, but or even just click on the second results and say, I like that one. So I think it's going to be a mix of freehand discussion with structured, prompted discovery as well. And I think the brands that get that blend right are going to win, because that's going to define the user experience going forward. In fact, I think what I just saw the other day is that Shopify is now starting to offer this thing called MCP UI, which provides the guidance essentially for brands to create these types of product cards and visual experiences as part of the agentic conversation that they're having as well. So that also speaks to that. I think that indicates where things are going to go as well, because Shopify is leading in agentic commerce at the moment, as we can see, and where they are focusing on, I think brands should take that as a cue to focus on that as well. They've put a lot of money and a lot of research into thinking through all of that. So.
And they're basically paving the way and setting the expectation. So if you think, I don't know, Shopify powers some 60% of the e-commerce sites in the US, they're really setting the standard for what is going to happen in e-commerce. So as a retailer, you should be looking towards these big companies to see what they're doing, because it's going to have a trickle down effect. And that way you can already start preparing, because they're basically setting the standard. They're not going to go to the right and then go all the way back to the left. So to see what they're doing and the groundwork that they're laying is going to give you the hints and the indications of what you should be already starting to think about and put into your strategy, your roadmap. And then one of these things now that you also kind of mentioned was the agent-to-agent commerce, and also voice, because now really it's all becoming much more multimodal. It's not just text anymore. It's text, it's image, like you mentioned, now even video. And then the fourth element there is voice.
Voice, exactly. And so I think it's a very natural progression from conversational discussions that customers want to have to using voice to have those conversations. It's actually easier to talk in a conversational way, like speak in that way, rather than text in that way, right? So before, when websites were mostly offering keyword-based search results, it's kind of difficult for somebody to say, blue dress,
like a robot,
right? That's not normal to talk like that. But now that we can just say, hey, I want a dress for the party that's a little bit, dressy, but not too dressy or whatnot, it's just more natural for people to speak like that. So that means that the websites and mobile experiences are going to also have to start thinking about voice search.
Both the input and the output, because it's like, if you really want to mimic the offline experience of what you were mentioning here, you go to the agent in the store and you say, I'm looking for these batteries or something. And they say, okay, that's an aisle 3 here. It's weird if you're talking and then the agent is just typing back to you. But then this is really actually the true full evolution of conversational commerce, is when you are having a conversation.
Exactly. You're just like you're in a store. Right. I think we need to get as close to the experience that you have when you go to a store and talk to an agent directly. In a virtual and an online fashion. So for sure.
And so that kind of brings us now to, like, how do you do that and what actually is happening, and the different avenues that you have to think about, which is, we talked a lot about shopping on the brand's website, but what about your devices? Because that's really the first point of interaction, which is just, I don't want to say Alexa because I have it in the corner. And when you said it, I thought she might tune on.
She's going to speak back.
Exactly. She'll join the webinar. Really conversational. But for example, with Siri, like, you could start the shopping journey there also, right? Not just go to ChatGPT, but in this way with a voice prompt.
Yes. So the conversation is going to start in a whole bunch of places. It's not going to, as much as we've been talking about ChatGPT, because currently that is the dominant player in this space. It's going to move to personal devices, to smart speakers, home speakers like Alexa and Google, etc. It's going to be, on your smart watch, like Apple Watch. You're going to say,
Hmm.
hey, this is what I'm looking for. Can you find me something? Right. So what is needed now, and has actually started to emerge, is a standard for communicating with agents, right? So agents of all kinds, third party chat agents, all the way to Amazon buy for me agent, all the
Hmm.
way to smart watches. They all need to be able to speak to the commerce capabilities of the brands in a very consistent fashion, and that is
Hmm.
what we're now seeing as emerging as a protocol called Model Context Protocol. So MCP is the next evolution of, it's like a USB-C for AI, right? It's one way that all agents have to speak to all of the commerce capabilities that sit in your commerce stack, right? So it sits in the middle of essentially everything. Your backend systems could be composed of, it could be Salesforce or Shopify or commerce tools, or you may have CMSs like Content Stack and
Hmm.
Content.ai and etc. And search like Prefixbox as your search engine or anything else. And what is needed is a consistent way for the agents to speak to all of your backend search capabilities, your capability of checking out payments, etc., to complete that full journey from discovery all the way to payment, right? And
Hmm.
brands need to start to think about how are they going to expose those commerce capabilities to not just one agent, but any agent. And in fact, when they're building their own agents, their chat agents on their own websites or their mobile platforms as well, they need to make it MCP native so that
Hmm.
when they do that work of creating that conversational experience on their own channels, they're also getting ready for those same experiences from other external agents at the same time.
Yeah, I like this that you guys have said about making your brand visible to the agentic web. It's not just making it visible to one source or just part of your site visible,
Yeah.
but the whole thing, because it's like if it's going to be coming from Siri, from Google, from Amazon, from ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, like that's already six we just named here that you have
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
be discoverable by.
Exactly. And you're not going to have a separate integration with your brand for each one of those, right? That's
Yeah.
just too much. It's going to be infinite at some point. People are building their own agents, right?
Yes.
Soon,
Yeah.
like people like you and I are like looking to just create our own personal agent on our
Hmm.
desktop or on our device ourselves. So what happens then? How do they integrate with with a retail brand if there isn't a consistent protocol
Hmm.
to do so? And that's what MCP has. That's why it has emerged as the standard. And in fact, all of the major players. If I think if you go to the next slide, um, the MCP has been adopted by pretty much everybody out there. Salesforce is creating their own MCP server. Shopify, as I mentioned, they have enabled MCP for all of the customers that are using them as the
Hmm.
commerce
Yeah.
platform. Commerce Tools just released one. Stripe, PayPal, and MasterCard are creating their own MCP servers to complete payments on behalf of customers. So for different commerce capabilities, essentially different players are joining the party, the MCP party, model
Yeah.
context party, or model context protocol party, uh,
MCPP.
MCPP. And so, so it's definitely a trend, not just a hype that we're looking
Yeah.
at, but it seems like the world is actually moving in that direction, and it is difficult to change course at this point. You're not going to create another protocol in another
No.
in another year, because most of the major players are already there,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So the goal, I think, for every brand should be that they need to be able to expose their own MCP server that exposes capabilities such as, if you, I think in the next slide, I list out or maybe it's the one after, or maybe
I
not.
think that's
I
the
think I may
closing
have
one.
That's okay. I think I'm missing that slide. No problem. So it's, things like product discovery, right?
Hmm.
That needs to be exposed as a tool through an MCP server so any agent can discover your products. Another thing is cart and checkout. So I want to
Hmm.
add something to cart. I want to check out or pay for something. That capability, whether it's one backend system that delivers it, or 15 different backend systems that deliver it together, it needs to be exposed as a capability to those agents as one
Yeah.
tool, right? And then finally, things like order management, account management, so order history. Show me what I purchased last time. I want to purchase the same thing again,
Yeah.
right? That again needs to be exposed as a commerce capability to these agents through the
Hmm.
MCP server. So that's what the brands need to start thinking about. And the sooner you do that, the easier the customer experience is going to be through their agents in
Yeah.
shopping at your brand. And if you don't do that and your competitor does, then
Yeah, you're in a bad
you're
place.
at an advantage, right?
Yeah.
Because whoever makes it a frictionless experience for the customer wins, because we're
Yeah.
all lazy.
Yeah. I mean, and that
Right?
brand is also the one that's setting the trend. So you really have the first mover advantage. So it's
That's right.
more or less clear where everything is going. Now it's almost like a race on who's going to get there first. And
Who's
you're
going to
going
get
to
there
start
first?
setting that experience, the expectations, and you really will differentiate your brand against the competition or against all of them at large. And you kind of become the standard of what other people are trying to model. And if you think back so far ago, if you would have focused on SEO first, that would take your
Mhm.
business so far. Like when no one was
Oh,
really
yeah,
focusing on SEO and you were ranking first for years,
absolutely.
it's kind of an accretive action that the more you start doing now, the further and further ahead you're going to be getting.
Yes, I think that's a very, very important point. It is the first movers advantage. Whoever
Yeah.
gets there first wins.
Yeah.
Completely agree. So, but there is a chance. There's still a window of
Mhm.
opportunity right now to start thinking about this, start to build up your capabilities now. There was this this thought before that, hey, why do I have to worry about APIs and like exposing all of my capabilities as APIs if I could just integrate my front end directly with
Mhm.
my back end back end capabilities directly without having to expose anything. Now you have to think about APIs because agents are not going to click on
Yeah.
your website. And if they do, it's not going to be a very accurate experience. We're seeing,
Right.
some of that capability now embedded in Chat GPT agents, for
Yeah.
instance. It can go and click around on your website to get to the end. But unless you make that standard, right? A standard set of APIs for add to cart and uh, create payment or search for
Mhm.
products, you make it difficult for agents to traverse your
Yeah.
website. That means that they're just going to ignore you. They're also as lazy as we are.
Yeah. So that's what you don't want to
It's
happen.
taking too long to figure it out. You know what? I'm going to go to your competitor
Yeah.
to do the same
Yeah.
thing. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And so I think the preference of those third-party agents is going to be to those companies that are agent ready,
Mhm.
right?
I agree. It's
Yeah,
almost it's a very exciting time to be in e-commerce. It's also a little bit of an overwhelming time to be in e-commerce because
yeah,
things are changing so fast and there's so much you need to learn and implement now that it's like, let's get started on it. But it's exciting also because
absolutely.
things are really changing. And I think it's fair to say that this is the biggest evolution we've seen in commerce in a while, especially in the
Absolutely.
e-commerce segment.
And it's driving truly omni-channel experiences
Yeah.
for the first time, which is, to me, that's the most exciting part. I think it took agents to really teach people what omni-channel actually means.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and they're now starting to take it seriously, that
Yeah. And it seems
we
to
have to
really
be
bring
ready for
everything
anything.
together. Everything that we said, that
Exactly.
we have the semantic search and the natural language understanding. We have personalization. We have
Yeah.
omnichannel experience. We have, like, really everyone said they had it, but not really. And now it's all becoming true. And it's
And
all
it's
becoming
becoming
possible.
obvious who does and who doesn't
Yeah. Yeah.
as
It's
well.
true. You
So if
can't hack
you
it anymore.
start to see like search, if you look at that, and I'm very passionate about search. I've had, years of experience working on search implementations in the past, like in DECA, that's the world that
Mhm.
I came from. That was keyword search. It was the
Yeah.
pioneer in search at the time, but it was guided keyword search. And if your brand today is not offering a conversational experience, it's pretty obvious that your search engine behind the scenes is a keyword search engine,
Yes, it is. It's
right?
super obvious now. Yeah.
It's becoming pretty obvious. In order to provide a conversational experience, you have to have a vector search engine.
Yeah.
And it has to be able to take that kind of a semantic query, like a pretty dress,
Mhm.
because no product
And what
description
is
says
pretty, first of
pretty
all?
dress.
Like, that's it.
Exactly.
Like,
Well,
step
that's
one before you
semantics.
return. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So if your search engine's not able to respond to a query, an ambiguous query like that, that means that you're behind,
Yeah.
right? So that's in fact one of the steps I think that brands need to take immediately, is to start thinking about what their search infrastructure
Mhm.
looks like as well.
Yeah.
So MCP and search together, those two things are the focus for the next
Yeah.
little while.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think? What do we leave people with? Start today, because it's not a future trend. It's happening now. And the first movers are going to get a really big advantage. You can't hide behind the marketing message of AI search or conversational. It either is or it is not. And it's clear to shoppers what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's practical steps that we've spoken about in this webinar to get you there. And if you need to speak about it in any further detail, both of us are available
Yeah,
anytime.
absolutely. So, thank you so much for sharing all of your insight. It's really interesting and it's exciting to be in the space now. And I look forward to what's happening next.
Thank you for having me. It was a lot of
Have a
fun.
good day. Yes, it was. Have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.